All right, our last example says a baseball is hit into the air. The path of the ball can be described with the equation h equals 23t minus 5t squared, where h is the height in meters and t is time in seconds. First question, how high is the ball after 3 seconds? Once again, they give us seconds to plug in. All we have to do is plug in 3 for that t. So our height will equal 23 times 3 minus 5 times 3 squared, which comes out to 24. So it ends up being 24 meters. Question B says, when will the ball be 19 meters high? Well, they gave us a height, so let's take our equation. H equals 23t minus 5t squared, and let's plug in 19 for the height. So 19 equals 23t minus 5t squared. We have to get this new quadratic form, so we've got to move that 19. So we get 0 equals, let's put it in standard form, so put that a squared first, minus 5t squared plus 23t minus 19. Now we've got our a, b, and c. Let's get an exact answer and use our formula. So there's our a, there's our b, there's our c. So x is equal to negative b, so negative 23, plus or minus the square root of b squared, 23 squared, minus 4 times a, which is negative 5, times c, which is negative 19. And all of that is over 2 times a, which is negative 5. Now let's just start to simplify. So negative times 23 is negative 23, plus or minus the square root, and let's simplify everything in that square root. So 23 squared minus 4, negative 5, negative 19. And we get square root of 149. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. So, since this does not come out as a perfect square, we'll just solve it from there. So, alpha y equals negative 23 plus square root of 149 divided by negative 10, which comes out to 1.07 blah 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 blah. That 7 means that 0 is going to round up to a 1, so 1.1. Now let's retype it, put it in as minus, and we get 3.52 blah 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 blah. That 2 means that 5 is going to stay the same, so 3.5. So at those timestamps, those are both in seconds. Question C says, when will it be 115 meters high? Well, we've got to do the same thing we did here, but instead of 19, we're going to plug in 115. So 115 here equals 23t minus 5t squared. We've got to make it a quadratic. Those cancels. We get negative 5t squared plus 23t minus 115. There's our A, B, and our C. So x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times a. Now when we simplify that down, I get negative 23 plus or minus the square root, and let's simplify inside that square root. So 23 squared minus 4, negative 5, negative 115. and I got negative 1771 over negative 10. Well, we've got a negative inside, and we know whenever we get a negative inside a radical, there's no solution, which means it will never be 115 meters. Sorry. So right there when we saw the negative, no solution, so it's never going to go that high. Last question says, when will it come back to the ground? So all we have to do is go to our y equals, plug in our new equation, which is going to be 23x minus 5x squared, and plug in 0 for your next line. So once you got it both plugged in, hit graph. It does hit the ground somewhere over here. So second trace, go to intersect, move your cursor over to where they intersect. 1, 2, 3. 4.6 comma 0. So 4.6 seconds is when it comes back. All right, I hope these notes were helpful. Let me explain your assignment.